It is easy enough to crash a car beautifully. It is much more difficult to crash it wisely in a beneficial way. Today, we will talk about how this is done. For instance, in Europe, where the Euro NCAP New Car Assessment Program has been successfully operating since 1997. This independent organization systematically and on an official basis investigates the safety of all vehicles on sale without exception, mercilessly crashing them in strict accordance with the regulations. None of the manufacturers have indulgences, as well as opportunities to prepare. For the sake of safety, Euro NCAP employees are able to take any car from any conveyor, from mass and cheap models and up to premium cars. The research regulations include checking electronic security systems, a pedestrian safety test, and 5 options for contact with obstacles. The so-called crash tests. These include 2 real frontal collisions, at a speed of 40 miles per hour with a crumple barrier and at 41 miles per hour with a barrier that cannot crumple. 2 side impacts at a speed of 31 miles per hour against a barrier and again at 20 miles per hour against a pillar. And also a testing bench simulation of a rear impact at 16 miles per hour. Almost 2,000 such tests have been carried out since the inception of the program, but the most spectacular ones were, of course, those in which luxury cars participated. Therefore, today we will talk about the crash tests that cost their manufacturers a pretty penny, and we're gonna move them incrementally. I wonder how much the most expensive of them cost. Nevertheless, we will start with a very, so to speak, cheap option, Chevrolet Camaro, which costs $46,500. This means that the crash tests of this car cost the manufacturer almost $200,000. Indeed, in every collision, a car dies, so all the prices in this video can be safely multiplied by 4. But this Chevrolet was out of luck. It was tested according to the stringent IIHS standards of the American Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. It almost hit the losers. The Camaro passed nearly all crash tests without any problems, but during the simulation of the car overturning on the roof, it turned out that it is not so strong. Meanwhile, in such a powerful car, the strength of the roof should be monitored especially carefully. At high speeds, the risk of rollover rises sharply with the death rate of drivers. However, the overall rating of this vehicle in all tests was 5 stars. This is the highest score in security. So, in 2012, when the Chevrolet Camaro passed crash tests, only 14 cars out of 46 were awarded it. But the Audi Q8 crossover is already a real high achiever. One of the few cars that, according to the Euro NCAP test results, received its 5 stars honestly and without exaggeration. The cost of such a car in its basic configuration is about $79,000. However, already for this price, the manufacturer equips a car with a full set of safety systems, including a set of airbags. Thanks to this, in a frontal impact with full overlap, the survival rate of adult passengers is 93%, and for children and adolescents, 87%. Concerning the level of pedestrian safety and the reliability of all systems in general, these figures for the Audi Q8 reach 71% and 73% respectively. The relatively low level of protection of the driver's chest in a collision with partial overlap slightly overshadow the data you heard before, but even this criterion did not go beyond the excellent grade, so on average, a solid 5 came out. Against this background, the 5 stars that Range Rover Velar received look very controversial. Firstly, it was tested, as they say, in singles. Crash tests are usually carried out in batches. This time, the Euro NCAP decided to test the $90,000 crossover for durability without being able to compare it with other cars. Secondly, there were some surprises. Yes, the 6 airbags worked well for those in the front, however, when meeting with an indestructible obstacle, those sitting behind them risked damaging the chest, and when struck from behind, the neck. The safety level of the Velar for pedestrians is 74%, and predictive safety reaches 72%. This is facilitated by electronic services such as automatic braking systems and recognition of markings and road signs. However, in a side impact, the body of this Range Rover crumpled too much as for an excellent soldier. Although if the association decided that this rating is deserved, let it be 5 stars. The next priced test item was an electric sedan named Taycan from Porsche for $130,000. Surprisingly, its results, although these are the official 5 stars, are not very different from the Tesla Model S, which Euro NCAP tested back in 2014. Although the Taycan is both newer and higher in class, there is only one claim to it, but a serious one. This is a high probability of whiplash injuries, that is, injuries to the back of the neck of the driver and passengers after an abrupt stop. Because of this, the evaluation of the automatic braking system of this model was completely cancelled. Although on its own, it worked perfectly. However, the consequences were assessed as fatal. The points remaining after that for standard crash tests, 2 frontal and 2 side ones, were barely enough for the meager 5. And what about Mercedes? Mercedes is doing great. When testing the SLS AMG model, the cost of which starts at $205,000, the NCAP program did not reveal any problems. Moreover, the safety systems in which this car is equipped, accelerating to 60 miles per hour in less than 4 seconds and reaches a speed of 196 miles per hour, inspire respect both for their reliability and the amount that the manufacturer invests in them. That is why the frame of the Mercedes SLS did not deform in a head-on collision. And if the car got upside down, the passengers would have no problem leaving the cabin. The doors were probably defended by shells. At the same time, the bumper flew into pieces and the headlights broke. But all the airbags worked as they should, and in general, the car behaved very well. The next in the system of crash tests of the new European car assessment program was Lamborghini Murcielago, which already costs about $450,000. This is the first Lamborghini to be worked on by the Audi specialists, so the closest attention was paid to safety. A standard batch of 7 tests showed the Murcielago to be quite reliable. So, in a head-on collision, the front part of the supercar took the main blow and became like a concertina, but did not allow significant damage to the passenger compartment. The engine, which is a V12 and because of its power turned out to be very heavy, also did not succumb to inertia. In general, there are practically no questions except one. Crash tests were carried out according to the standard Euro NCAP model. That is, at a speed not exceeding 40 miles per hour. I wonder who drives a Lamborghini that fast? But the Koenigsegg Regera tests were carried out according to a fundamentally different scheme. This car, which costs at least 4 times the price of a Lamborghini, is produced within 2 dozen per year. What is more, all cars are bought out even before they are assembled. With such volumes, combined with such a cost, conducting crash tests in a familiar format is insanity, leading to bankruptcy. Therefore, Christian von Koenigsegg, owner and CEO of the Altalir of the same name, decided to take a different path. First, a powerful computer calculated all possible cases of non-standard contacts between cars and various obstacles and combined them according to their typical features. And then engineers got down to business. The Koenigsegg Regera base is a monocoque, a single load-bearing structural element on which everything else is built. Accordingly, after each crash test, everything that fell into disrepair was removed and studied. New body parts as well as new engines were put on the basis. In this simple way, von Koenigsegg saved at least several million euros. It's one thing to build several cars and crash them safely, and quite another to use the same base, changing only the closures. In addition, Koenigsegg carbon composite material, Koenigsegg's proprietary material consisting of diamond-coated carbon fiber, has long established itself as one of the strongest and most reliable car body materials. Therefore, in combination with a unique hybrid engine with a capacity of 1,500 horsepower, the Regera, even at its marginal cost, is sold like hotcakes. The Pagani Zonda, which had a tough time, costs about the same $1.8 million. Horatio Pagani wanted this model to enter the American market and therefore adapted the test for the requirements of the United States. However, the cost of a series of full-fledged crash tests would be prohibitive even for this brand. All in all, the Altalir also decided to follow the path of least resistance. One base and many bodies. 730 horsepower under the hood allowed the car, whose name is translated from the Chickasaw Indian language for wind, to accelerate to truly impressive speeds, as well as to crash with the front or side part of the crumpled and uncrumpled obstacles. As a result, the inspectors were once again convinced that the carbotanium from which Pagani bodies are assembled is called innovative for a reason. Solid 5 stars, even by harsh American criteria. Finally, the most expensive option is the famous Bugatti Veyron. The manufacturer has always positioned themselves impudent in their intentions, but who do not go beyond the legal framework. And so, the Veyron, which costs at least $1.9 million, has passed all the crash tests honestly. After all, a car that bore the title of the fastest in the world simply must be the safest. Tests have confirmed this to be the case. Euro NCAP and the aforementioned IIHS, as well as another American standard NHTSA, which was introduced by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, showed the highest level of safety. The carbon fiber monocoque has withstood all collisions and overloads, which is reflected in the assessments of the testers and the rating of the car. However, there is practically no visual information in open sources about how the Bugatti Veyron fought against obstacles. Maybe only a few shots from the test done 2004 in Germany, on which, however, the hypercar behaves well. It is also unknown how many of its fellows died bravely in crash tests. Isn't all this profligacy the reason for the Veyron's unprofitability? With this question, we perhaps will conclude our today's video. Is it worth carrying out such expensive tests? After all, the current level of technical thought makes it possible to organize crash tests differently, with the help of computer modeling on reduced-size copies or other methods of non-destructive testing. We'll be glad to read your answers in the comments to this video. See you on the Strong 5 channel. Take care.